It's so important. But we have two more speakers, and these gentlemen are very dear to me. Leo Giovinetti is coming up right now. Let's give him a big round of applause. Before he shares anything, I just want to say our themes today was standing together. But before you can stand together, you have to come together. Then you can work together. Then you can finally stand together. But you can never get to standing together without coming together first. You can't bypass those important steps. And Leo has been one of those people that has been coming together with Israel for quite some time. And even when a lot of people weren't hearing much about Israel, it was on the billboards of their church if you went down Mission Valley, and everybody knew it. Leo's crazy for Israel. He's just all about Israel. And so before it comes up, I was thinking, like, well, who has been interested in coming together, working together, and standing together? The people that I've invited here today are those people. And Leo Giovinetti is one of those people that stands out in my mind. Leo Giovinetti.
The Bible says, for Zion's sake will I not hold my peace. And for Jerusalem's sake I will not rest, until the righteousness thereof go forth as the brightness, and the salvation thereof as a lamp that burneth. And the Gentiles shall see thy righteousness, and all thy kings in the glory. And they shall be called by a new name, which the mouth of the Lord shall name. And so Yeshayahu, or Isaiah as we're used to calling him, says, for Zion's sake, I will not be quiet. And that's what we're doing here today. We're shouting out, we're speaking out, we're doing everything that we can. And when I knew that I was going to come speak, I called some friends in Israel, because what do the people on the street care? And I have a dear sweet lady, her name is Sheila Rabib, and she has a blog that you can find called Sitting from My Veranda. And every Shabbat, she sends out a letter. And it's what the Israeli people care about, what they care about most. And they care about most that they're so misunderstood. Do you know that just a couple weeks ago, they took in some of the fighters from Syria, and they brought them to the hospital and healed them and patched them up? Do you know that they do heart surgery for Palestinian kids? That's not in the news anywhere. Do you know that every day they're putting tons and tons of material goods and all of the things that you need to live your life, and they're bringing them into Gaza for free? And so she said, say something about that. So I just did. I spoke with the Prime Minister's office. I have a long-time friendship with Bibi Netanyahu. I knew him before he was the Prime Minister. In fact, I met him at the King David Hotel one night. I was there with a group, and he came in with his wife and his little child, and they went across the veranda and they went out to the patio. And he loves to smoke Cuban cigars. And so I said to my tour guide, hey, that's Bibi Netanyahu. And he said, yeah. And I said, well, is this kind of like America, where when you see a celebrity, you can like run over to them and get their autograph or something? And he said, yeah, you can go do that. And I said, well, only thing is he's got security around him. I don't want to get killed. And so my tour guide, very friendly, went over in Hebrew and explained the situation. I've got a crazy evangelical pastor who just saw Bibi Netanyahu, and he would give anything just to go over and introduce himself. And of course, you know, you're always choked up. You don't know what to say, you know, and so you end up at the table like that. And so I'm over at the table, and so they graciously in Hebrew tell him, you know, and they probably said, we got, you know, a Gentile here who wants to body Mr. Netanyahu. I'm sorry, not. But anyways, he was gracious, and he said hello, and I said hello, and I'm an evangelical pastor. I want you to know that there are many Bible believers. I know Christianity has a really large banner. And I know in Italy this week you just saw the conclave, and you saw one of the bishops coming from the furthest part of the world, and you saw that. And Christianity has many divisions, but those who honestly read the Bible, read both the Tanakh, read both the New Testament, and read it over and over and over again, know there's no way to be a true believing Christian without loving your fathers, without loving your forefathers. Forefathers of the Jewish people. God said through Aaron, and through you I will bless all families of the earth. And I don't know about you, but when you're in the desert and there's only one fountain of water, where are you going to be? I'm going to be under the fountain. And that's where the blessings come from. And that's not to mention all the Nobel Peace Awards and all of the awards that the whole world has bestowed upon the Israeli people, because through them, God blesses all of the children of the world. Well, Rivka, who works for Mr. Netanyahu, was nice enough to give me some talking points, and it would blow the 5-minute deal way to, smithereens if I went through all of them. But really big this week, they're asking for you to be vocal to your representatives. They want you to be really vocal as President Obama is there in Israel. He's going to be 2 days in the land of Israel. He's going to go and spend time with the Palestinians, and then he's going to go to Jordan. And they're asking that you, the Americans, call, text, email. What we like to do is send a little white postcard, because it can't get stopped up as an envelope. They always think that the envelope might have some white powder or anything, so we use a little white postcard that you can see has nothing, and we address it to the Secretary of State, and we ask them, please, we stand with Israel. We send it to our representatives, and we say, please, we stand with Israel. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, the 67 borders cannot be tolerated. They can't even be defended. And we can't go back to that. As Bibi Netanyahu said, please, Mr. President, Jerusalem is not an outpost. It's our capital. You can call your congressman, you can write your senators and say, I want the American embassy to be in Jerusalem. I've seen the land, I've been by it. We've bought the land, but we haven't built. It's a terrible thing. And so they said, please pray for this meeting. It's very important. It's vital. There's talk and there's stories that President Obama is going to ask the Israeli people to make concessions and stop building. Listen, they can't stop building because it's in their DNA. 300 years before Christ, Yehezkiel, we call Ezekiel, he speaks of a time, and he speaks to the mountains of Israel. And if you look at a topographical map, it's what we would call the occupied territory. He speaks to them, and he tells them, I'm bringing my people back, and they will build me again. They will build the ancient places again. And so all of these people who have come back, almost 8 million now, who have made Aliyah and come back into the land, they've come back with their DNA coded by God. Build. Build. Get up in the morning and build. And I think you all know, he who blesses thee, I'll bless. And he who curses thee, I'll curse. I'll leave you with this one last scenario. I was reading the news and scattering the news, and at the time it was announced that our president is going to be landing in Ben Gurion, 3 Russian ships had moved from Beirut, and they're going to come to Tartus, the only seaport that the Syrian people have. And for the first time in history, you're going to have Israel, Russia, and you're going to have the Syrian people and the U.S. president all together. You're going to have Israel, Russia and the United States president within a 100-mile radius. Is this something that God is setting up? Is this something that God is doing? Is this something that's going to be the last straw on the camel's back, and that we're going to see God rise up and keep his promise in Ezekiel that I will rise up and I will fight for you, and the whole world will know that you're mine. There's one more thing I'd like to ask you to do. We have a trip coming up to Israel in September 24th, October 8th. I think all of us here together, I think we ought to go in together. Bird and his wife have never been to Israel. And I think we ought to send them to Israel, because if you really want to stand with Israel, you got to go. I've been going since 1982, and I've probably taken tens of thousands of people in all the trips that I've taken. I've been from one end to the other. I've been in Eilat. I've been on the Nueve Beach, right where Moses and the children of Israel stood. I've been in the Golan. Our church has put in over $1 million buying soldiers winter coats and buying blankets for children that are highly, highly autistic. And we've been in every area of this country that you can be. I've jumped off the boat going over the Galilee just to see if I could walk. Not yet. But I do float. And I think it would be a wonderful thing if we could send Bert and his wife to Israel for the first time. Is there any greater experience than going to Israel? You can talk about it, you can read about it, but once you go, you know that you know that you know. And once you see the Temple Mount, you know who it belongs to. Once you get baptized in the Jordan River, it might not be the exact spot that Jesus did, but it's the real Jordan River, and there is no other Jordan River in the whole world. Once you crisscross in the land of the Galilee, and once you go down to the Red Sea, Eilat, once you go to Jerusalem, you know that the Bible's true. And you know that one day our God, who is an awesome God, is going to come. And he's going to set up his kingdom, as it says in Yeshayahu chapter 2. He's going to send it up in Jerusalem. In Zechariah it says every year the nations will have to go to Jerusalem. And the nation that doesn't go doesn't get rain that year. I'm telling you, you ought to start going down. It's going to be true.